Welcome to the Living in Salida podcast, a podcast that offers insights into the charm and reality of living, working, and playing in the small mountain town of Salida, Colorado. I'm your host, McCarthy, a realtor that specializes in buying and selling in the Salida, Colorado area. In addition to helping people buy and sell property here, I love connecting with the wonderful people of our community, learning about their experiences in our town, and sharing these little slices of life in Salida with you. Today, I'm recording the last episode of Season 2 of the Living in Salida podcast. I'm taking a little break, and I plan to be back in 2026. And today, we're ending the season by talking about an important component of living in Salida, Colorado. Salida is known for its access to abundant outdoor options, and one of the main options that draws people to this area to both live and to visit is Monarch Mountain. Monarch Mountain is a privately owned independent ski, snowboard, tubing area located 20 miles west of Salida. Monarch covers over 1,000 acres of terrain with an additional 1,600 acres of guided backcountry. But this season, they're opening up 377 acres of new terrain, which we will be talking about, among other things today. And Monarch is one of the largest employers in Chaffee County, employing over 400 employees in the winter and around 40 year-round. Plus, the ski mountain is a huge driver of winter tourism here, which supports our local economy. So with me today to talk about all of that and more is Chris Haggerty, the general manager at Monarch Mountain. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Did I do a good job explaining what Monarch was?
You did a great job.
Okay,
yeah.
good. Well, perfect. I'll let you fill in the gaps as we talk. But before we start talking about Monarch, let's talk a little bit about you. So tell me how you made it to Salida. Tell me your origin story.
Yeah. So I'm originally from New Jersey.
Okay.
I've been in the ski industry for over 25 years now. We actually had a ski resort in my hometown,
Nice.
Which is where kind of like you started working when you're in high school, college, etc. And I loved it. And I was not really sure what I wanted to do in college, or after college. And so I kept working at that resort and, moving up in the ranks and ultimately became the general manager at Mountain Creek Resort in New Jersey. And then about 2 or 3 winters ago, I had a buddy that lived out in Denver, that lives in Denver, and I came out to visit him. And I was like, man, this is awesome. And I had actually spent 2 winters previously working at another resort in Colorado. So I got all these like feelings back of like, this place is amazing, like this state.
Yeah.
So my wife was with me, Jenna, and on that vacation, and she was like, yeah, it's beautiful out here. This is really nice. And so we kind of like, we're looking for some change in our lives, and we just started to look and see what was out there, and stumbled upon the position at Monarch. And I just started researching everything I could about Monarch because I kind of had heard about Monarch in the past, but I didn't really know the resort. I hadn't been here before. I hadn't been to Salida or this area. Although let me come back to that because apparently I did come through here at one point in my life.
Put a pin in that one. All right.
Yeah, but so I just, so we started looking into it, and I was like, wow, this is what I want. Like, this is like an independently owned, like, old school resort, just about the vibe of like skiing and riding and going for the day, having fun with friends and family. So applied and went through the whole process, and we actually the owners took great care of us. They flew us out here for the final round of interviews last summer. Not just myself, but Jenna, and I have a daughter, Holly, who's 4 years old. She came out too, and like we got to experience the area, which was super important.
Yeah.
To see the community, which we instantly like fell in love with. And so I got, fast forward to actually yesterday was my 1-year anniversary of being in this role at Monarch, and we couldn't be happier.
Wow, congratulations.
So, thank you.
Happy 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So they flew you out in the summer, is that what you said? So 2 summers ago?
Last summer,
Last
actually.
summer. Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah, so there was, when they posted the position, and they posted the position on, a lot of, nationally, right? Like a bunch of different ski industry websites and other places, and there was a ton of applicants, and they kind of, just like the normal hiring process, right?
Sure.
Like whittled it down, and there was 5 or 6 finalists that came out to meet with the ownership group, and meet with some of the senior leaders at the team, and I'm grateful to have been
that's
selected.
amazing. So it was truly this job that brought you out here, but you were kind of seeking places out here first. Then.
We were seeking just like a change, right? And Colorado was what we liked, and when we came out here, and we spent 3 days out here and kind of got to see Salida, and immediately it was like, wow, downtown Salida is like this amazing place. Like there's parks everywhere for kids and recreating. There's hiking, biking, running trails. You have the river right there, and you have a ton of, which I think is fascinating. There's a ton of restaurants and stores that for a small town, like you have it. It's some people are like, well, we don't have like a mall or like a shopping mall. It's like, okay, like go to the Front Range for that stuff. Like we have so much stuff here that's so cool. And one of the coolest things that stood out to me was like, our daughter's young, so like we weren't destroying her life and ripping her away in her teenage years and whatever, but it was like, but we wanted her to go, to grow up in an area where it was like kids are kids. I'm a big fan of technology, don't get me wrong, like I love all that stuff, but it pains me when I see children just like watching, YouTube videos on iPads or whatever, playing with phones and stuff. And there's a time for that. Like when your kid's screaming and like that's it, you unleash that. But what was so cool about Salida was like every park we went by had like 7 or 8 bikes on their sides. Kids were just running around like crazy. And it was like, yes, like that reminded me of my childhood. And someone told me, which I thought was so cool, because I was like, how do you describe this? Like, and they're like, yeah, kids in Salida are just feral. And like, I took that as like, that's like the biggest compliment that you could give. Like, it's so cool. Like kids just run around, they play, like everyone's watching everyone's kids. And it's just like, since we've been here, it's only further like, cemented that was like that feeling that we got instantly is a real, like it's real. And it's happening here. It's like, again, young family, perfect place for us.
Yeah, totally.
But there's so many activities for everyone.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, it sounds like you had quite an impressionable visit.
Oh, for sure.
And it sounds like you've integrated pretty well then, because I know you were saying your daughter, you're in a preschool, and obviously you've got full-time work here, so those are kind of the things that people need when they come here with their families.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, we do have that very obvious just feeling, I think, that there's like a vibe. And sometimes when people reach out to me, I'm like, just come visit. It's not for everybody being away from some of the amenities like you mentioned, but if you're okay with, not having access to a mall or Target or whatever, readily available to you, I think, we have everything we need.
Yeah, and
more.
it's got like since we've been here, then the other piece that we're like is amazing is like my wife keeps saying like this is like a Hallmark town, because like all the events that are done downtown, right? Whether it's Halloween trick or treating, the holiday parade, and the lighting of S Mountain and stuff. It's like these are just such special like moments for family and the whole community to be there, and it's like give me that over, big box retailers, if you will, right? Yeah. Which we do have a few on 50 if you need that, right? Totally, if that's what floats your boat. But like that just feeling like I haven't lived a ton of places, but I love traveling. I've been to a lot of places, and it's just like I feel like that sense of community has changed over the last 20 years. Okay. And it's like not as common anymore. Sure. Especially from where I'm from, back east.
Gotcha. Okay.
That just as New York City grows, like the connection with neighbors and community, I feel like has weakened a little bit, even just from 20 years ago. So Salida in Chaffee County is like this special, it still has that, and all this amazing fun stuff to do to go
totally. And did you feel like it was easy to meet people here? I mean, you've been here a year, so that's not a whole long time, but do you feel like you've met some community members and that, you're kind of integrated?
They put me in the paper, so when I first moved in, so it was funny, because when I first came out here, I came out for a month before the rest of my family just to get settled in and start working and stuff.
Okay.
And I was living downtown, just renting a place, and I would walk down like F Street every night, and like I didn't know like anyone other than like the few people I had met at Monarch.
Yeah.
But there were people that knew me. Because
Oh.
like I'd walk by people and they're like, oh, that's the new guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's, so then over time, like then people got more comfortable with introducing themselves, and so it happened pretty quick. I
Nice.
think because of like my role partly, but also like I just do feel like it's just a open community and people are super welcome and they want to chat with you and make small talk, and then what you do with it from there is up to you, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so I guess that's a good segue, your role in the community, because you are the general manager of Monarch, and Monarch is such a big role in the community. So talk a little bit about, working at Monarch's role in the community here.
Yeah. I look at, my role in Monarch as a whole as such a privilege to have, right? And like, but also such a responsibility.
Okay.
Because like, we are a huge employer in this community. We're a huge driver to winter, economics here, right?
Absolutely.
Like, the rafting companies and other, summer attractions are not happening in the winter. So, we're filling beds and lodging and other things, and the restaurants and the stores. And, to me, that's like I like that kind of opportunity to have that pressure.
Okay.
Because I think it's just like, I don't know, it's just my personality. It helps me like be like, oh wow, I'm a part of something like bigger than just Monarch, right? Like it's totally like the Monarch community, the Monarch family in my mind stretches beyond the mountain. It's down into Salida and Poncha Springs and Buena Vista.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people that work here, and that's one of the things that when I was interviewing for the job, like there were certain things that I was talking to ownership about, and how do you prioritize, right? Like, our team, right? How do you take care of our team? How do you make sure, like, as cost of living goes up, we're doing everything we can to like help our team out and do those things. And, you alluded earlier to like the number of seasonal people we have, but also the full-time year-round.
Yeah.
And that number has grown over the last few years, right? And it's because we're healthy, and we also want to help stabilize individuals' incomes, right? Like, the reality is we are a seasonal business, right?
Sure.
Like, are we ever going to employ 400 year-round people? Like, my guess would be no. It would take a lot for that. But we've grown that number from 20 to 30 to 40. We're over 50 now.
Oh, you're over
people.
50. Okay, that's great.
Which is, that's 50 people in the community that, they have work year round that they can rely on and depend on. And we're always looking at ways of like, how do we continue to enhance like their experience and their lives, and how we can make them better. And I think I think Monarch does a really good job at that, while also balancing like, with our role in the community, aside from just like providing this winter attraction, we do a lot with donating, money through community outreach and stuff, and trying to support local organizations, and it's one of those where like we get a lot of requests, right?
Okay.
Like, for that kind of stuff, and we welcome it, and we've actually partnered with the Chaffee County Community Foundation this year to like work through how to facilitate donations and stuff, and but we want to help, right? Like we want to be a part of the community. Like we're not here without this community, whether it be for people working up in Monarch, or season pass holders, or day guests, or individuals that operate hotels and restaurants. Like all that has to fit together for us to be successful, in my mind.
That's true. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I guess talk a little bit more about I didn't write it down here. So the community foundation that you do is, remind me the exact name of it.
It originally started as Monarch Mountain Community Outreach.
Okay.
It was like kind of our like 501c3 arm of our organization.
Oh, okay.
And then this past year we partnered with the CCCF, the Chaffee County Community.
Okay.
because they're like the professionals of working with nonprofits. So
Gotcha.
back in March, we wrote them a check for $30,000 and said, here, give this money out in the community, basically.
Oh, okay.
And there's like, there's a whole rubric of like, you have to be X type of organization or within, one of the big things for us was like being within X miles, right? Like we don't want, a company in, I'll use New Jersey since I'm from there.
Okay.
We don't want some nonprofit in New Jersey to reach out and be like, hey, we saw this, like, can you send us $1,000, right? So there's like
Sure.
geographical restrictions
That
on
makes
it and
sense.
stuff to keep that money local.
Yeah.
So we work with them on that. Like I said, we gave $30,000 in the fall or in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
We're about to launch the next piece of that, which is like the impact grants, which are one or two like large donations of $5,000 or $10,000, depending on how many applications we get and stuff. And anyone interested, they just go on skimonarch.com and there's like applications you fill out and it tells you like, do you check these boxes, this and that, and and our goal is to over time like grow that number, right? Like we want to give more money back into the community, right? Like we want to do everything we can to like we're big believers of like rising tides raise all boats, like let's all win.
I love that.
It's not easy to do though, right? Like
Sure.
it's like, well, how do you how do you make money that you could donate but also take care of your team? And one thing I haven't mentioned yet, keep Monarch affordable, right? Like one of the things that we pride ourselves in is like we do feel we're a fairly affordable resort, and we want to remain that and continue to challenge ourselves on how we can become even more affordable. Like one of the biggest barriers to entry in the ski industry is like that first day you go for a never ever beginner. Like financially, it's a pretty big commitment.
Sure.
So, so we want to make sure it's like, how do we balance that? How do we take care of our season pass holders? Like last, this spring when we launched our renewal season pass pricing, even though we're putting in the biggest project we've had in a really long time, which has been a huge capital investment, and it's taken a lot of time and effort to get going, and we're going to open up the no-name terrain this year. We kept our season pass renewal pricing flat, right? As like a thank you. If you booked like within I think it was before June 1st, like if you renewed by.
I was excited. That was really awesome.
Super smart. And like, and we have a payment plan option too. So like, we're constantly thinking about, I would tell you like myself and other members of the leadership, like we all have humble pasts, if you will. And, we pride ourselves on, working for, earning what we get and everything, right? So like, we understand that like, not everybody just has a bank account with however many figures, right?
Sure.
So we're always thinking about like, hey, how do we like put ourselves in everyone's shoes and say, you know what, like we want you to be able to come to Monarch. We want you to be able to enjoy it. So here, we're going to keep the prices the same. We're going to give you a payment plan option so that you don't have to, if you don't have $400 like, to spend right at that moment, you can over time. And honestly, what's really cool is our owners support this. And that's what's like, to me, is super special because like it's all those pieces fitting together where, there's other ski resorts that'll remain nameless that, they're publicly traded. They don't necessarily like, listen, at the end of the day, they have their business model and their goal is to stay in business just like every business.
Absolutely.
But I don't know if they always think about the human side of it, where to me, that's what's so special about Monarch is like those conversations when, you're making important financial decisions of how to remain a healthy business. We're also like, how do you also stay true to who we are to this community? And our community, we feel, is getting bigger. Like Colorado Springs has been an area where we're getting more and more season pass holders, and so it's like it is, there are other people that are becoming attracted to Monarch and like what we're doing. I will share that I gave a presentation this summer about our master development plan. And because that's something we have to do for the Forest Service as a requirement with our permit. And
because you're
so,
permitted by them to use the
yeah, we operate
area.
on Forest Service land, so we have a permit through them.
That's
and
right, yeah.
We had a master development plan in 2011, which basically No Name was like the final piece of it. So now we need to do a new one, which will be, it's like your next 10 to 15 year roadmap.
Gotcha.
And one thing when I was talking to a bunch of our local season passes, I was like, but let me be very clear, like more people here, like it's a good thing for the community, right? Like, but we're not trying to be some other resorts that have, 20,000 people on a Saturday. And, as locals, which days to go and what times,
100%.
right? And,
Yeah.
and what's really cool is that our terrain, right? So we have, you mentioned earlier, we have like 800 acres roughly. We're adding close to 400. That's a 50% increase. And, I don't know about you, but like there's days that you're there and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm like a celebrity and this is like my private resort. Like,
Yes.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And we don't want to lose that, right? So
Yeah, I love that.
We're gonna make sure we protect that. And there's actually a bunch of like, I could nerd out on like the ski industry science of like, how much, your lift and what the speed of the lift is and how many people it carries and how much terrain it accesses and what ability like level that terrain is. So whether it's beginner or intermediate and advanced. And this is all stuff that like gets boiled down into an equation. And we worked with an outside group, the SE group. They're like an engineering firm that works, all over the country on resort expansion and projects. And they have a formula of like, okay, hey, well, if this lift accesses this much terrain, you're at this number and yada, yada, yada. It's like, perfect score is 100. Like that means you have perfect like balance between up and downhill.
Okay.
Monarch right now is like at a 55.
This is
meaning
prior to No Name?
This is with No Name.
This is with No Name, okay.
Yeah. We're at like a 55, right? So like meaning 55 is like we have all of this extra space that like we could put more individuals in if we wanted to. And when I presented the master development plan, and there's like all these like in there's things that you put not because necessarily you're going to do them, but if you don't put them in, you can't do them.
Gotcha.
Right? Like the first thing when you present a project to the Forest Service, they're like, "Is it in your master development plan?" And if it's not, it's kind of like not the easiest to get it there. So there's like lift upgrades and stuff like that.
Okay.
That are just in there as placeholders.
That makes sense.
And if we did all of that stuff, we would be at like a 70 something.
Okay.
Right? So we're still below like the perfect ideal trail density of a ski resort. So it's like, so don't panic. We got plenty of space. We're not going to lose like that private feel.
Okay.
But yeah, we should have some, we absolutely should have some increased visits this year, right? Because of the No Name terrain.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more. We've alluded to it quite a bit, the No Name terrain, that it's 377 acres.
Yeah.
So you tell me your spiel on, how you're explaining that to people who either they have been going to Monarch for years or they've never been there. What can we expect this 2025-26 season?
Yeah, one of the coolest things is so currently Monarch, the front side now, we now have a front side, is on the eastern side of the Continental Divide.
Yeah.
The No Name terrain expansion is going to be on the western side of the Continental Divide, which is just a really unique thing. There's only one other ski resort in the U.S. that operates on both sides of the Continental Divide. So we're really pumped about that. It's just that's
just kind of a cool fun fact. Right?
Yeah, like here, we're at the start of both oceans right now, the Atlantic and Pacific. So we're pretty pumped about that. But also what's cool is when you get to the top of the Continental Divide and you first look over into the No Name terrain area, the No Name Basin, there's no parking lot, there's no lodge or anything. It's just pure natural beauty for as far as you can see. So you like feel like you're in the wilderness.
Yeah.
And there's going to be incredible tree skiing. The front side of our mountain, we've done a lot of thinning of trees over the last several years because we've had to, for whether it's wildfire mitigation or for the beetle kill that we've had. So the backside now, No Name, is going to have really nice tight trees, and There's, all the terrain back there is either intermediate, advanced, or above.
Okay.
There's even a small hike to portion back there, right? Almost like a mini Mirkwood, if you will, right?
Okay.
And going back to like the natural beauty, one thing that's really cool that was really forward thinking by our initial, group that planned this project is the lift that's back there. So it's going to be a triple. It's called the Tamichi Triple.
Okay.
The drive for it, so the motor, the engine room, is going to be actually at the top of the mountain, which most of ours are at the bottom terminal. Okay. This one's going to be at the top terminal, so that when you do go down to the bottom terminal and the bottom area of loading area of No Name, there's no noise. It's just a little bull wheel that spins around, so it's it doesn't disrupt the natural when you get off a lift or on a lift, you hear that little hum of the motor room. So that'll be at the top for this lift to protect kind of that bottom of that bowl, just really natural feeling. So it's going to be so cool. I came out last year in the summer and I saw the initial start of the trail cutting, and actually right now there's some chairs getting hung on the lift.
Wow.
So we're this close. We're right there.
Close. So I know you don't have a crystal ball, but when do you think Monarch's going to open this year? I know it depends. It's natural snow, so it very much depends on the weather. Yeah. Every year is different. Do you guys have any insights yet, or is it too early to say?
So I always answer that with also asking, if you know anybody with the crystal ball, let us know.
Well, it's how people ask me about real estate. When are interest rates going down?
Exactly. It's because we'll take that person and hire them immediately.
Totally.
One of the really cool things about Monarch, as you know, is we don't have snowmaking.
Yeah.
And again, we are dedicated to that. We want to remain all natural. Without snowmaking, because it just changes the product, right?
Yeah.
That certainly gives you a little more anxiety as to when we're going to open, because you're truly relying on Mother Nature, right? If we did have snowmaking, you could be well, temps consistently drop at this time, yada, we could get something open by whatever date.
Sure.
Since we're at the mercy of when the natural snow flies, we're our plan always is just to be ready as soon as the natural snows allows us to, even if it's 1 trail, 2 trails, 10 trails, right? To just get open. So last year we opened just before Thanksgiving, which I was wow, that's really awesome.
That's pretty early though. That's
we
not
were pumped that, I was for my first year, I was all right, cool, let's just do this every year. So if you know any tricks, put your pajamas in the freezer or whatever, totally. We encourage everyone to do that.
Snow dances, yep.
We're internally, we're always we need to be ready when that snow hits, right? So if snow starts in early November, we're going to get the lift spinning as soon as we absolutely can.
Nice.
And that's going to include all of, we kind of always open in a phased approach, right? And, so to follow up to that, when is No Name going to open?
That's the next question, right?
We're going to open that as soon as we can. Last year would have been a really interesting year with No Name, because we had 2 really big storms in November. That were upslope storms. They came in and really dumped snow on that side of the mountain. So if you were up early last season, the Gun Barrel Ridge got a ton of snow, and there were other areas that didn't have as much snow, like Breezeway.
Yeah.
No Name would have also got a lot of snow. So it would have been a really interesting year, because then, it's how do you get back there, right? Can you go up Pano and go back down, or Breezeway? But we're gonna be ready to go. That's our plan. So I'm
sure there's a lot of people that are excited about this. So how do you think, you alluded to this a little bit, that we'll probably see more people. How do you think this new terrain is going to affect the community as a whole? So obviously visitors with Monarch, but the community as a whole.
Yeah, I think it's going to do 2 things. I think it's going to help local businesses, right? More bodies here. There's going to be more people that are visiting our community and help spending money here, right? And supporting restaurants, stores, shops, and staying, lodging. And I also think it's going to be, a long-term piece of this is I think you can see more people maybe either moving here or getting second homes here, because they're now by Colorado standards, acreage wise, Monarch's on the smaller side of things, right? But as we grow that, and we give this new experience where you have two sides of a mountain, two sides of the divide. Like I think people are gonna be like, wow, maybe I want to make that my hometown or my home mountain. So I think we will see some of that. But what I'm, when I talk about this, I'm very cautious to say though, like, but I also really love that what the small town charm we have is.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, there'll be some growth, right? But it's like, I feel our community has a ton of like just ingrained values and a feel to it, and like culture, that word that everyone talks about, that like we're gonna maintain that and keep that, and it's gonna be like, if you like that, like I did, and if you feel that when you immediately come here, like you're just gonna fit in, and there's just gonna be more of us, right? Like,
yeah.
And like for us, it's like there's gonna be more Monarch, right? There's more terrain, but it's more of what you have like come to love.
Yeah, it's not going to be changed into the big resorts.
Yeah, our master development plan has no like real estate development or anything like that. And,
nice.
Which has changed a lot of the other resorts for sure.
It has, yeah. I mean, there's no ski in and ski out in Monarch, which I don't know if people realize that when they first come, but you got to kind of drive up. But that's kind of part of what keeps it with that wilderness feel that you're talking about.
Yeah.
There's not, condos all around. So no, I think that's good. I always say, if you come to this community, come and bring something positive. There's a lot of thought and consideration and smart growth here in many aspects of things. So, it sounds like Monarch is also doing that and aware of that, which is just really important because we all are so intertwined here, and there's so much about it all meshing together that makes it magical here. Yeah. So continuing that value, I think, really helps. And so the concerns of, are we going to turn into a Summit County or whatever, it feels like, I don't think so.
Yeah, no, and for me, the resort I came from, we had a water park. We hosted 90 weddings a year. We had events. We had a bike park. We had like you name it in the outdoor recreation space. Like I've done it.
Yeah.
And there were definitely people at Monarch when I first started that were like nervous about that. They're like, "Oh, you're gonna like bring in a water park?" And I'm like, "Well, water rights out here are a real thing, so like that's out, know."
Yeah.
But it's just like, that smart growth, that mindful growth of like what is like, like we do operate the Crest, Monarch at the Crest in the summertime, right? Which really is a awesome roadside attraction type place, right? Where you could come and learn about the area, right? It's kind of like that welcome center vibe, and there's some souvenirs and stuff and a little bit of food and beverage offering, and then there's a scenic tram that you could take up to the top of the divide, which has one of the coolest views out in this area. So it's like, how do we maybe enhance that property a little bit for the summertime for all these other tourists that are coming through here? And but not being like, all right, we're putting in a water park and that's that. It's like, well, like that's not, that's not Monarch. That's not like this community either, right?
So staying true to the current culture and community. I like
exactly.
that. Well, awesome. Do you have anything else to add for anybody who's considering coming to Monarch this winter or visiting Salida?
I mean, this is like, if there's a year you're gonna come to visit this area, right? Like this is it, because it's the huge expansion project. Like I said, it's the biggest expansion. I'm pretty sure it's the only expansion in Colorado this year. So like you're gonna be one of the first to get out in that terrain and check it out. And then you're gonna, if you stay for long enough, which doesn't take long, like you're gonna find what I found, and just this love for this community is just it's just awesome. It's such a cool place, and not being from here, like I'm like always welcome my friends and family, like come check it out, and everybody's like, oh man, I gotta move out there. Like this is just it's so awesome. Like whether it's the views and the outdoor stuff, or just being downtown and enjoying the local restaurants and stuff. There's so much to do here, like despite it being this small town.
Small town, yeah, for sure. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much. How can people learn about Monarch Mountain? You're going to want to visit skimonarch.com. And also, if you search us on Facebook, Instagram, it'll come up, search Ski Monarch or Monarch Mountain. You'll be able to find us, follow us, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. So
So check it all out.
Yeah, you guys have been updating pretty well on the progress of No Name. And then, as it gets closer, that's where we can often learn about your snow updates and when we have an idea of when Monarch's going to open, because it's usually like a week or so notice. I mean, it's usually like, bam, we're doing this.
Yeah, I mean, we had some flakes flying up there yesterday,
I saw
which
that.
was super exciting.
But they didn't really stay.
They stuck for an hour maybe or 2 hours, and then they kind of got out of there. But it's like you could feel it up there. Like it's you live a different day if you're up on the mountain versus down in town, which is also something that's like really unique to this area, and I think is really like something that people should understand. Like if you go to a ski town like in the wintertime, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be bundled up, I'm gonna be freezing. And it's like that's not the case here, because Monarch's like up there, right? The base is 10,800 feet, but down in Salida, like we're in this banana belt where it's like it's pretty mild. It's like comfortable. So yeah, you could have 2 different days, but to when are we opening and when the snow flies and stuff, like, yeah, we're going to be ready. So it's like, it might be a week and it's like, okay, hey, this storm hit us, like it's stalled. There's this thing called the Monarch cloud sometimes that like we're expecting 4 or 5 inches and it leaves behind 10
you can
inches
see it
plus,
from
and
town,
like,
this huge
all right, like,
cloud.
Game on, guys, let's go. So
that's awesome. Yeah, to your point, you can not every day in the winter, but you can ski and mountain bike same day.
Yeah,
it happens more often than you think, which is pretty sweet. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of your information and for all you do for our community. And thank you guys for listening. Again, I'm Monica McCarthy, a realtor who specializes in Salida and surrounding areas. If you're interested in connecting with me, whether it's to help you buy or sell a home here or about being on this podcast next season, all of my contact info is in the show notes. And if you like this podcast and found the information useful, please share it with a friend. And you can learn more about Salida, Colorado and the real estate market here on my YouTube channel, Living in Salida, Colorado. Thanks for listening. And as I said, today's episode is the last episode of season 2. I appreciate all who tuned in this season, shared their feedback and insights with me, and I do appreciate hearing from you. I look forward to connecting again in 2026. And until then, take care.